What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of On the Table. My name is Tippy.
I'm DJ Black Velvet.
Church girl is here.
Guess who we flew down
Again.
40 foot.
the budget? You
You know what I'm
Not
saying?
underestimate. Lindy. Oh.
Hello.
How are you
Good to
doing,
be
beautiful?
back. I'm good. I'm good.
We
good
love
to see you
having
guys.
you here on the show. Thank you very much, by the way, for joining us and coming all the way from Ghana
You know,
to South Africa.
only for you guys.
Only for us.
Ghana.
Only for us. And of course, this episode is, as always, in collaboration with Viya Health. You can go on their social media handles. It's Viya Health ZA. This is on all social media platforms. It really is a safe space for us women, even for men, in fact, if you want to know about your sexual health. And of course, if you want to know everything that has to do with pleasure, your sexual pleasure, it's a safe space. Trust me. Their brand ambassadors also have really awesome conversations that they have. Lindy, brand ambassador, connoisseur, if that's even a word. And of course, and of course, a sexual wellness coach. Absolutely love you. Let's have the conversation. Before we even have the conversation, we have Viya conversation cards.
Ooh.
This is how we start the show. If you've joined us on all 3 previous episodes, you'll know that this is how we choose to open up the table.
Yes.
We've got cards, and in these cards, each of us have a question for each other. Ask it, and we answer it as honest as possible. It's on the table. Let's start. Nolu?
Can I do any, meeny, miny, mo?
Do you?
Who do I want to ask this to? I feel like this is a question we should all answer, yes? But I'll give it to you, Tsepi. How do you want to be loved by somebody else? Describe in detail. It's also got a second part to it. So I'll ask the second part when you've
I
answered.
want to be loved softly. I want to be loved intentionally. I want to be loved with all my might. I want to feel it in my soul. I want to feel it in my bones. I want to be able to say it out loud, to say, "Hey, ndiyathandwa guys mna." You know, I feel like people who say it out loud know it and feel it. And I want to be loved like that and get to a point where I can say it and admit it and say, you know what? Uyangithanda lo bhuti. And ungithanda kamnandi kanjani? This is sexually, this is emotionally, this is intellectually. Do you know what I mean? I want it to be all encompassing. And I know people are like, no, you can't get everything. I definitely believe I can.
You can.
I definitely
got it.
believe I can. There we go.
Thanks. Par exemple.
Yeah. And then the second part is, do you love yourself in this way?
I do. I love myself intentionally. I love myself softly. I love myself loudly, boldly. I embrace myself. And that's how I want to be loved.
Beautiful. I like how you separated those.
Yeah.
That threw me off. I was like, ooh, do I love
Didn't see
myself
that one
like
coming.
that?
Yeah. 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 Your question, Lindy?
Okay. Do I have to direct it at one person?
Well, do you?
Okay. What role do your feelings play when it comes to sex?
All right. I'll sit out of this one.
Okay, maybe I should
Respectful.
answer for myself and then kind of open the floor. So before I became polyamorous, I was monogamous. And I felt like my sex was definitely attached to how I felt about the person and the feelings that I had from an emotional point of view. And then one day I had sex and it was purely for pleasure. And I didn't expect a call the next day. I wasn't feeling somewhat neglected when I didn't get that call. It was just, wow, that experience in the moment was amazing, and can I do it again? Okay. And then I did it again. And sex was completely detached from emotion. And I think that's how I'm also able to be polyamorous now, because my emotions and feelings are towards one person, but my physical and pleasure can be derived from different people and have different experiences. So my feelings are not always involved unless I want them to be.
I see. We actually need to discuss polyamory in complete solitude,
Okay.
in isolation.
So we fly
One
her
day.
back.
We fly you back for that.
Got you.
Because that's definitely a conversation that I feel we need to have. Right. Do I ask the question now? This one also, I'd love for all of us to answer because I think it's very important. What has your experience been like seeking sexual health support with healthcare providers?
Okay.
Your
My-
doctor, your clinic.
No, mine have been pretty pleasant, but I know people's experiences that have not been pleasant. Yeah, mine have been pleasant. I've got no.
Khomozo?
Yeah, it depends on where you seek the support. Private hospitals, GPs, where you are paying, pleasant. Where it's for free, it's government related, not so pleasant. There's a stigma attached to it. There's some level of judgment. I don't know where they expect you to go if you don't afford to go to where you can pay. So public hospitals, clinics, nurses, you know yourselves, do better.
For me, it has lacked someone who looks like me. So most of the time when I need sexual health related advice, it's always from someone that's a non-person of color. I feel like, I guess that's why I kind of got into the field that I got into, because I needed someone who understood that as a black woman, there are so many different factors that may contribute to how I am sexually, as opposed to just textbook, yes, do this, do this, do this. You know, so just representation is lacking.
I have to agree. I think for me, when I think of my particular doctor that I go to, who I'm literally contemplating changing, I love her. I think she's very open, except the only time, and to be honest, the only time I ever need assistance for support or anything of that sort, or go to the doctor, is honestly for my nether region. I only ever go when I have thrush. I only ever gonna go when I have something that I can't identify on what it is. I only ever go for a pap smear. I never really go for your typical flus or anything like that. So I'll never be seen at a GP, touch wood, of course, for anything else, except that. And I feel like the first couple of times it was funny when it's like, oh, are you here again for down there? And then it started feeling judgmental. Then it started feeling like, yeah, because that's kind of the only time I ever want to come to you is when down there I don't understand what's happening. When I've had thrush for a little too long, you know, it may not have been caused by me having tons and tons of sex. But you know what I mean? Like, I need to be able to say it to her that, oh, I'm back again, without her making me feel, and I don't know, maybe she says it as a joke, but I don't take it as a joke anymore, because fact is, yes, I do come to you, and it's not a nice feeling when I come to you, you know. It's you know, I think the last time I went and I had vaginosis, and to explain vaginosis, number one, is also just like, yeah, okay, my discharge is smelling. You know, and I don't want you to make me feel like, wait, now what's wing? It happens to so many people. Hell, it even happens to her. You know, yes, she'll tell me that it happens to her somewhere in the conversation. But before that, I don't want to feel snacks. I don't want to feel that taking off my clothes just so that you can check makes me feel nervous. I want to be comfortable to take it off. I want to be comfortable to put my underwear on the side and not hide it, you know, so we can see the discharge that's coming from there. Do you know what I mean? Those are the things that I think, as much as I might be a regular of yours, or I might be someone that you might know, but when I come to you for this, just make it such a safe space for me. And I do genuinely feel like even the jokes that are said in jest, I don't want to hear them. Because it's a very vulnerable time for me that I don't want. I just want you to prescribe antibiotics for me, prescribe probiotics, prescribe things that I need, and make it safe that, okay, maybe this is what might have happened. Don't make me feel like you're scolding me. Do you know what I mean? So that's that. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it is
Can I ask a
what
question?
it
Is she
is.
black?
She
and
is.
I'll tell you why.
She is, and I love her
alluding to what Khomotso was saying about the clinic, and I'm speaking from a black woman's perspective, and my friends being black, having gone to a clinic elokshini, where health providers make you feel like you shouldn't even be here. Why are you having sex? Even if you're not having sex, like, where else are we supposed to seek this kind of information?
That's why you guys are there.
You know, what are you there for then, if I'm not going to be able to come to the clinic and say, hey, this is what I'm experiencing, or this is what I would like to try. What are my options?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, Thank God for Viya now.
Thank God for Viya.
Viya.
Thank God for Viya Health. This is exactly the conversations that are had, and to make this comfortable for you and a safe space for you. I think for the longest time we've been seeking safe spaces where we won't be judged, where we won't be made to feel like we're all these names that we're being called in society. When this happens to every single person,
And
it
it's
happens to
normal.
us.
And you know, I think one of the reasons I've had a pleasant experience is that I'm also very particular or intentional about my gynae. So I specifically go to a white old man.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That
And
threw me off.
Yeah, can you elaborate on your reasons for why?
one, there's a level of professionalism that I get from them that, okay, I don't have experience with black gynaes at all, African, for lack of a better word. So I've specifically gone to them, one, well-learned, the wisdom. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying your moms, your doctor gynaes are not, but I prefer a white old man because he's wise. He's got, if it's not, if he's not using the new age machine, he has the old stuff, and they've used it on me. That's why I've just been like, wow. And he's taken me to even an older colleague. When I was pregnant, there was some drop of blood somewhere, you know, and I was experiencing some form of pain. And he said, I'm not sure what this is. Let me consult. And he took me to an even older man. Like, I felt like if you were to say now, we're going to cut you, your baby might not make it, I would feel okay.
Safe space.
That it's safe. The way he communicates, he's not even English, he's Afrikaans. So it's like the way he even communicates and the conversations that we have, it's not even a dad kind of feeling, but it's like a doctor patient mutual respect. And he asks me questions I'm able to answer, and if I'm not able to answer them, he gives them this is why I'm asking you this. I mean, the last time I went to see him, I was also telling him about something I was experiencing down there, and he said to me, "Did you change? Have you changed partners?" And I wasn't offended by his question based on the way he was asking it. I said, "No, still the same partner, but this is what is happening." You know, and then he talked me through without even me having to say, "Doc, why did you have to? Why are you asking if I've changed partners?" You know,
comes with the
So,
explanation.
yeah.
Yeah.
I've just always had a thing for them. Like I prefer older.
Okay. I hear you. That's exactly what the conversation cards are for. They're here to open up the conversation, and the gems that come from these conversations also really are worth it for me. The conversation we're having today, ladies, is self-care and self-love. And a lot of you don't know what it is
Yep.
and what it means. What does self-care and self-love mean to you?
I like that you say to
I
you.
actually think it's in one of the cards. I one of my partners, what?
Because there's a whole list, huh?
I asked him, and I remember that question coming up. But anyways, do you even know what self-love and self-care is for self?
Well, for myself,
Or what it feels like even?
for myself, I'll be honest with you guys. I've recently learned what it meant for me and what it is, rather. I learned it through having a child. And the rude awakening was that this person is dependent on me 24/7. I'm constantly thinking he needs to eat, he needs to. Then I felt like I'm going insane. But the minute I would step out and I'd say, you know what, guys, I'm gone for the day. I'm good. Bye. See you later. I felt at peace. And at first, I would never go out by myself. I'd never do solo dates. I'd even having a coffee by myself, I'd never. But now, I promise you, I go out having time to myself. That is self-love. For me, having time to myself, having time to reflect, having time to just recharge so that when I get back home, I'm able to be fully functional as a wife, as a mother. But at home, on its own, it's there. But for me, it's not even the doing your face, what you see now, self-care Sundays. I don't even do that. You know, the self-care Sundays, I just feel like it's something that we're all riding on because everybody's doing it. Now we all want to do it. But to me, it's taking time out to be by myself, not with Tepi, not with anybody, but be with myself.
For me, like Nolu, I've recently started to learn what self-love is. It took people to make me aware that I'm not kind to myself. Ooh. And I'm the most hardest to myself. And I would project that onto other people. So positive self-talk, even when you fuck up, you tell yourself that it's normal, it happens, shit like that happens. Learn from it, move on from it. Like I would literally take weeks or days if I would get some form of rejection from someone or somewhere and not be kind to myself and tell myself that I'm not deserving of good things, I'm not deserving of being loved or anything like that. I've recently started to learn that self-love also is how you speak to yourself.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Tough. That's one of the biggest things that I struggle with.
Yeah.
I'm very, very hard on myself, to the point where it's even ended a relationship because it just took
Really?
such a toll on my partner that he was like, I don't have the capacity and the energy to keep lifting you up if you can't even do it for yourself. So yeah, so it's something that I've been really like working on, but I think it also takes a special kind of person who has the patience to show you how you can better speak to yourself. And that's where I'm at right now with my partner, my current partner. I still speak negatively to myself, and the thing is I don't even realize I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'll look in the mirror and instead of seeing beauty, I find flaws of what I want to fix. And he's like, have you ever just looked and been content with what you see? And I'm like, but for me, there's always room for improvement. Like, it's not that I'm bashing myself. And he's like, but subconsciously you are. Because if you're always finding flaws, then it means that you're never really praising yourself. So I'm working on that. But for me, my self-love and I think self-care is mostly anything that releases endorphins. And one of those things is doing for others. I love seeing other people happy because I have been a contributing factor. I love people's toes curling because I'm sucking your dick great. I love like anything that kind of just reflects that you like me in your presence, you like me in your space because of something I do or something I say or some kind of affection I give you makes me feel good. And for me, I like to give more because I feel like I'm kind of almost giving back to myself. And that's where my self-love and self-care comes in.
That's actually what someone said. He actually said how you treat the ones you love is a form of self-care. How interesting is that?
Love that.
You were also talking, Nolu, about when we talk about self-love and you're saying all these self-care, routines or whatever. But I think those are just as important as well, right?
100%.
And I don't take away from what you're saying. Absolutely, I agree with you. But now let's talk about those elements. I'm going to call them elements of vanity, but those are also so important, guys. And I
Yeah.
think we really and rarely ever harness our ego. And men love to harness their egos. Men love to, to stroke their egos and feed their egos. And we don't.
Yeah.
And ego is different to arrogance.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the lines get
No,
blurred.
100%. And that's what I always, for my black man, I always make sure that I'm here for his ego. I'm not here for his arrogance. Because I'm here for that black man's ego. I think it makes him who he is. He's able to... Do you know what I mean? But at the point at which I'm able to differentiate whether you're starting to be narcissistic, now you're starting to have, you're starting to be a little bit pompous, and that's not cute.
Yeah.
That's not cute. So you're able to see the two, but women also have an ego. And that ego, we rarely ever, stroke it. We rarely ever check up on it. We rarely ever even notice and bring it out and say, it's your time now. Dance, babes. Why? Because that's also a form of self-love. And this can come in anything. This can come in a day where you just decide, you know what? Today, I'm going to go dye my hair however. And at this point, I'm going to tell myself that I am the shit.
100%.
And I'm going to go on social media and tell myself that I am the shit. But none of you are ever going to do it, right? Because you're just going to be like, yo,
I'm not that vain.
no one's going to validate me on social media because isn't it we're here for validation, clearly.
I think it goes back to what Khomotso and Lindy are saying. It's the conversations that we are having with ourselves when we're looking at ourselves in the mirror. What are you saying to yourself? And until we take the time to really pay attention to what we are saying to ourselves, we will fall trap into that. Because women are the biggest critics of themselves and of each other. One, simply because we've been made, there's this image that's been put out there on what a perfect woman looks like. So every time we wake up and we have not reached that standard that's been set by men, I will say, we feel like we're failing. Mm-hmm. And if I'm a step closer, then you'll be like, okay, I'm getting there, but I'm not there yet. Even then, we don't celebrate our small wins, like you say. You won't go on social media and say, yeah, man, I'm feeling it. I'll make an example at the all-black party that we had, the Chillers party. Mm-hmm. The way I was dressed, it's something I didn't pay attention to, but the way I was so comfortable. I was like, I can't explain how comfortable, I was comfortable within. And when I think back, I'm like, this is how I used to dress, actually. This is how I used to dress. I don't know where the shift happened or when I gained weight after having a baby. I was like, okay, maybe I cannot dress like this anymore. But the way I was dressed on Sunday, I was telling my friends, going back to what you're saying, I would never go on social media and say I looked good. I was telling my friends and even my mom, and I was somewhat kind of shy about it. I said, no, man, I looked good yesterday. Like, no. I had that thing. And it's not to say you didn't look good. It's got nothing to do with anybody else. But I was feeling me, man.
But do you see how that is also? You want to compliment yourself, but then you're also thinking of the next person. 100%. Right? You're saying, no, not that you're not. Hey. Think of yourself and let yourself be the focus here to say, this was about me. And then you see later that day. Exactly. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that.
I'm shem.
No lies. Absolutely no lies.
No lies detected there.
No lies. So when we think of self-care, I almost feel like outside of what we want to do for ourselves, it kind of worries me all these other brands that come along and are trying to tell us what self-care is and what care should look like, and you know what I mean, for different individuals. Because the thing about women,
made that example of the self-care Sunday,
it's
been commercialized now.
And the thing about self-care, or if you are a brand that goes for self-care, is that women are so different. Women are so different. It's actually quite phenomenal to watch, and it's quite interesting to watch. So we have been, like you said, commercialized into all that. And let's talk about self-care in this case, right? And I'm going to talk about our vaginal care. When we now start even to talk about the feminine health products. If you get into the feminine health aisle, oh my God, we are seeing different kinds of feminine hygiene products, from the wipes to the foam bath to the this to the that to the no itch, no odor, no itch, no what, no easy use. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed just thinking of that aisle. What is our obsession with this constant fidgeting of our vaginas and the cleanliness of our vaginas?
Especially dark vaginas. There's this thing that's trending. The darker the vagina, the more it's associated with it being
dirty,
not clean. It's like a tweet. Yeah. There's a
dark way
down there. So you see that video. If you saw the SK video.
No.
Okay, you didn't see it. I think it was Chris Excel that said, yo, SK is so brave. Leya kuku ngathi kuku ephara. Simply because it's dark.
Not a para.
That's what it is like. Ikuku ephara. Simply because it's a dark vagina.
And he doesn't have a vagina.
The darker it is, the more it's associated with it not being clean.
There we have it. It's again men's perceptions of us. So we care too much about who is going to be on the receiving end, that now it's how does it smell? How does it look? What does it feel like? And that's why there's vajacials. There is, O shots where you are tightening your vagina. There's so many different things
Brightness.
that are there to kind of cater to whoever is on the receiving end of it, and usually that is men. And again, because men police women's bodies, they feel like they have a right to say what it should or shouldn't be, or that it looks like a para, or whatever the case may be. And women will take that, even if you're not consciously saying, well, mine doesn't look like that, so I'm fine. But you'll start to think, okay, but does it? Like, what? Now you start to compare to what the person who was insulted by, like, what theirs looks like, and you start to say, okay, no, I'm better because it doesn't look this way, or it doesn't smell this way, knowing that vaginal odors are normal too, or it could be just diet or lack of water, or whatever the case may be. There's different contributing factors, but because the man said, you go accordingly.
But then what is our obsession, ladies, with our vaginas? And we all must have gone through it once in a while. Either you used feminine hygiene products, or you've overwashed your vagina, or just like every 2 seconds we're just fidgeting around with our vaginas.
I think it's because we associate our vaginas to our worth.
Ooh,
I think.
Ooh, come on.
Okay.
So the prettier your vagina is, the more worthy you are. I don't know. It's just my thoughts.
When we sit and we say, "Kantwana, kuku yao ishwang." Is yours diamond encrusted? Type of thing. Why?
I think also maybe just to add on to that, it's also a thing of what do you bring to the table? And outside of all the traditional expectations of a woman, it has now been made that does she get on top? Is she there lying there like a Nando's chicken? Is she, experimenting? Is she tight? Does she have fat lips? Whatever the case may be, again, always leading to what the man may think and how they perceive us. So we have subconsciously even like told ourselves that this is a certain standard because this is what, even in porn, it's always clean shaven. But like hair is a healthy thing. You're supposed to have hair down there. It's to protect you. It's to avoid bacteria and, germs from going in, and also the friction when you are having sex. But the smoother, the better, and no one, again, we're not being given the tools at school and life orientation, having these conversations with our mothers, our sisters, where you're being told that it's normal. So where do you look to next? What the man says. And that's all over the internet. Those are the resources that you actually have access to, and they're wrong.
And it's also, to add on what everybody's saying, it's also being misinformed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go on.
Misinformed.
You're
misinformed.
And just like that.
What you're being served by the mainstream media, the internet, it's what you've been served, and that's what you're taking. You're not really questioning it. You're taking it as raw as it comes.
And it's hard to kind of discern what is correct and what is not. Like, there's different practices. There's different things that people say. Steaming is good. Some people say steaming is good. Some people say steaming is bad. Like, what? And I think if we're not going back to an actual medical practitioner to kind of confirm and verify what is in mainstream media, then we're going to just keep consuming it and taking it as is. But no one does the extra research, and that's where I think the self-care comes in. Are you healthy because this advert or this influencer said that that's what they do? Or are you healthy because a medical practitioner has said, hey, you've actually got a healthy vagina? And what does healthy constitute? Are they going the further steps by actually explaining and giving you the reassurance you need to say, I'm asking you these questions because these are the potential causes as to why it's this way. I'm telling you this because this is where it stems from. Because the more information you have, the more knowledge you have, the more power you have, so that when you're getting misinformation, you can dismiss it.
So easier
Yay.
said. We actually should.
I feel like we need
August. That's what we're going to do. Talking about that. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a really awesome women's conference.
On the table.
We're throwing it out as a women's conference so far, but we're going to have something really, really awesome. If anything, we also want to get the ladies to be part of it as well. So if you want to be part of On the Table, you can also just go down on the comments as well. We want you to be part of the table. We're going to have a live audience as well while we shoot our podcast. So it's going to be a really, really fun fun one.
I'll fly
So
myself back for that.
please, that would be really, really fun. But do you think it's easier said than done that we could sit here, but let's now go within ourselves, right? We know and we can discern, but I'm sure we fell part of this trap of self-hate and body hate and body dysmorphia and all these things. And this is what society perpetuates. You can look into the mirror every single day and just be like, yo. You know, and I come back to society every single day because it literally is the way in which we live. It is our everyday life, and it's something that we just, it's just that we cannot avoid it. So, and this is our biggest influencer, from your children to what you watch on TV, to what you see on streaming platforms, to podcasts, etc. These are things that affect us on an every single day basis, and we've all fallen trapped to it. We've all fallen trapped to self-hate.
True.
Let's talk about the self-hate that you've had. I've had many, many instances. It took me a very long time to love my vagina, guys. It really did. My vagina doesn't look like your vagina. It doesn't look like your vagina. And
You know.
it doesn't. My vagina is not the vagina that I see on porn sites unless I search for it. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Okay, but then how
How do you
even then,
search
how
for
do you
it?
search for it?
Ebony.
I've been living in perfect harmony. Look, there's many things, because then I say it, then you kind of know how my vagina looks like, and then no.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Look, generally, I feel outside of even the discoloration or the color
Yeah.
or whatever, and I think that's completely normal. I don't hold myself fault at that. And yes, I've tried the vajacials to be like, yeah, maybe let's get rid of this, let's get rid of that. And I'm at the point now where this is my vagina. This is what it is. You get what you get, honey. And if you want to get a better one, you're more than welcome. You're more than welcome to go anywhere else. Except just
But that's the
the
thing.
way
A
it
better
looks.
one to who?
To the person who feels like it's not good enough. To the person who feels like mine wouldn't necessarily be good enough. And in the same breath, it has gone from different things, guys, to turning and being like, oh, this discoloration here. Oh, I wish my stretch marks weren't. Oh, I've fallen into such a huge self-hate trap. But I'll go on social media, I'll go on radio and say, you are enough. You should love yourself. Do you know what I mean? And you should love yourself the way that you are. You're perfect as you are. And I get to my mirror and I say,
Cho me?
I did something more. Do you know what I mean?
I think the beauty in that is identifying when you're doing it. Because if you can call yourself out, and I often feel like a fraud. I'm like, how dare I say I'm body positive? And everyone's like, yeah, she's such an advocate for body positivity. But when I put on a bit of weight, I hate myself. And I'm like, why? What is it because people are so used to seeing me skinny and now it's something different, and they praised the skinny, so will they praise the thick too? And when they do praise the thick, then I feel like, oh, okay, maybe it's not so bad. It's not really genuinely what I am okay and happy with within myself. So, and I think the self-awareness comes from, why don't you like being thick? Is it because, according to the social media standards, that you don't fit into, then it's a problem for you? But there's thick girls all over the internet that are loved. So why would it be a problem that I fit into that category now? And I do feel like a fraud, but I call myself out very quickly when I'm like, oh, you're doing it again. You are the same one who's going to go and tell this person that she can wear any lingerie she wants, no matter what roles she has. But I'm saying, oh no, I just need a waist trainer for this. Oh, I just need But again, what standard do I want for myself? There's nothing wrong with wanting to be skinny. There's nothing wrong with wanting to fit into a certain mold that you hold dear to yourself. But it has to be that you are aware that you like it because you like it and not because you're comparing yourself to anybody else. But if you're not doing the introspection and the self-awareness to understand what you like and why you like it, you'll easily be influenced by everything that's thrown at you.
And that's what self-care is all about. It's about knowing what you like, what you prefer, not what Tepi and everybody else says I should like, and what is acceptable, and how comfortable you are wearing that, how comfortable you are doing whatever. Because, I mean, the minute that you start trying to be a Tepi or trying to look like what the world says you should look like, it weighs down on you. Hence, now we have so many cases of mental health. I want to strongly believe that our mental health cases are not even derived from the depression that you get from your work or your relationship, but they're mostly internal, because it's how you've not taken care of yourself. Yes, there are external factors that affect you, but how have you taken care of yourself? And I think we've also put on a lot of pressure on the next person to take care of yourself, and whereas you couldn't take care of yourself.
100%.
You want somebody to make you happy. I mean, this is something that we say in relationship, that he makes me happy. But do you make yourself happy? I mean, I know it's a dumb example, but it's what people use. But I mean, just try to think of what you are expecting from somebody else. I think the question that I asked you as to how you do you love yourself that way? What you're expecting from the next person, is it what you are giving to yourself?
And it's easier said than done, because now from my experience, when I started dating Bane, I used to think I had healed. To your previous episode, when you say heal before you go, I thought I had healed, but there was something that was not okay with me, because I wanted to control what he looked at. I wanted to control what he consumed. I wanted to control who he was talking to, who he was not talking to. But what I did not pay attention to was something was going on in my head. Something not healthy was going on in my head. First, I wasn't talking to myself kindly. Second, I didn't see myself as beautiful. And obviously that had something to do with your upbringing. You know, the magazines you look at, the people you look up to. I remember we were having this conversation this morning, saying we were talking about who we think is beautiful, who we don't think is conventionally beautiful. And somewhere along those lines, we started talking about Gigi Lamayne. Because I remember one day we were listening to her interview, and she said, I'm not conventionally pretty. And I didn't understand what she meant by that. But now when I look at her now, I get what she meant by that. She didn't have the perfect teeth for the industry. She didn't have the perfect shaped body for the industry. And now she's fixing that. Everyone is going all wild. Gigi Lamayne this, Gigi Lamayne that. That's how you see Wuti. This self-love thing, it's not just about how you obviously speak to yourself, but it's also how you see yourself. Do you see yourself, like really see yourself? I don't know, man.
It's tricky for me, especially now when you make reference to the Gigi Lamayne one. It kind of makes me think, especially if we're doing this for what people have said, and I'm not saying that she is, and I know her, I know she's much level-headed than that, except she's in the industry, you know. Yes. This is the pressure that's being put on her every single day about her teeth, about her body, about this, about that. And do you think if you guys were bullied, not even bullied, but maybe if there was someone who had a constant comment on a particular part of your body, you'd also get to a point where you wanted to change it? And is there anything wrong with that?
I mean, if I also wanted to change it, yes.
So you might have been quite comfortable where you were.
With it.
But because half the time, guys, it's people who are comfortable with who they are. It's just people who are sitting at home with their Twitter fingers, who are doing absolutely fuck all, and who feel they've got the opinion on someone else's life. They say something long enough, or not even long enough. You can have 5 really positive shit that someone is saying. Then there's that one really negative comment that has to do with your body. Maybe you were insecure about it. Maybe you did feel like, okay. Then someone says it, then another person agrees, or maybe another person likes it. Do you feel that changing it I don't want to say an appropriate thing to do, but do you think there's anything wrong with her having succumbed to what people were teasing her about? Because now they stop coming for your talent. They stop coming for what you're known for, and they go and fetch your body or fetch your face, or fetch a physical
that's
trait,
all they
because
can.
that's the easiest thing that they can find.
How did changing it affect you though?
Yeah.
If someone says, "Oh, she's got a bit of a belly," and you get rid of that belly and you feel good and confident that, you know, the appearance that you have now is something maybe that you subconsciously even aspired to, then by all means do what you must. But if you change it and still feel empty inside, or feel like they're still gonna come after me, there's still insecurities attached, then you are doing it for the wrong reasons. And you have to, again, introspect and be like, why am I changing this? Do I agree? And if I agree, then it's okay to change it. But if you don't agree and you're changing it, then you're doing it for somebody else. And then that's not really self-care or self-love. It's succumbing to societal standards and pressure.
Agreed.
So maybe she didn't like her teeth either. But now she's got the money to fix it. Cardi B did that. Yeah, Cardi B is like, got a bag and fix my teeth, you know? And like, she feels good when she's smiling and she's talking and she's because she's not conscious about it. But that was the first thing she did when she got her money. So people were teasing her about it, yes, but she wanted to. And she's fine with it.
I know you raised up your hand, but I'm going to have to deceive you here. Let's talk about the cleanliness that we need to have when having sex, before having sex. Banna ba rata ho tlhapa. It's problem number one. Lefeili, a le rata ho tlhapa, means it's not your favorite thing. It doesn't reach where it's supposed to reach. That's my biggest problem. But then also for women, you know, there's certain parts of us that, you know, when they say wash the hot areas, because those hot areas are very telling areas. So now when we have sex, of course, during the sex part, sex is a very filthy game. Welcome to the game. Welcome to the party. And it's a beautifully filthy game. Except, guys, that sometimes is where we all go to live and die, is the cleanliness of it.
I feel you can still... Okay, so I'll use myself as an example. I am quite hygienic. I will have sex, even as a form of intimacy with my partner. We'll shower together, you know? And when I was having sex, so I was taking a lot of antibiotics, and it permanently affected the way I smelled. And I could not. I would shower and we would have sex, and he'd be like, babe, like, still very sensitive and considerate and understanding of, you know, what was going on. And it was a process of elimination. We used condoms more. We had less sex to kind of give the vagina breaks. I went on probiotics, and there was just so much that I'm like, what can I do to change this smell that's making me feel very self-conscious? And now that it's gone, I'm like, there was nothing more that I could have done. The antibiotics internally affected what was coming out on the outside. So you can be super clean. There's even people who have, you know, body odor issues, but they shower and they use mitchum and you can still smell it through your clothes. Sometimes your body and their hormones just give off a little bit more than the average person. That doesn't mean you're not clean. It doesn't mean that you're not healthy. But are there ways to kind of mask it, or to, you know, enhance less of the smell? Maybe. But should you really have to go to those extents? If it's making you feel uncomfortable, then cool. But if you've also got a partner who kind of understands, and thank God, like I actually did, a partner who was just like, today wasn't so bad. What did we do today? And we're going through all the things we did on the day to kind of ensure that we understand what might trigger it or what might make it better. Did I drink more water than I did yesterday? I even downloaded the water app, and he was holding me accountable, and we were discussing it together. So it felt like it was a group project, because it wasn't just you need to fix you. It was maybe I'm the problem. You know, he was also considering his contribution to it. So when you're not being made to
Because
feel
also their
conscious
sperm
like
really
that,
does throw us off.
100%, it
It
messes
really
with your
does.
pH
Yeah.
balance, and that can affect your smell, your discharge, so many different things. So if you are taking full responsibility on yourself, it can be really, really strenuous and taxing. But if you're kind of going through it together, you come to find that maybe it was him. Maybe you should stop coming inside me. Maybe you should, maybe let's just use a condom from time to time.
Stop
And
coming inside me.
It's a thing.
so I think it depends. Like you also have to, if you've gone to a doctor, if it's something that you feel requires medical attention and they have told you, but there's nothing here that we can see that is an actual problem, then accept that maybe that's just how your body is. Nje.
This has been a very interesting conversation. And we don't embrace ourselves. We should start embracing ourselves. We should start embracing ourselves holistically, from how we look, how we feel, even when we're in the moment of having sex, because that's also a big part of where self-hate can
Comes
stem.
from, definitely.
Switching off the lights because you don't want to be seen, or you don't even want to see yourself.
Closing your eyes.
Closing your eyes in the entire experience. I think it's time we actually have these conversations about ourselves and be able to identify. And as a chiller, as you're listening here, I think you need to ask yourself what self-love means to you, what self-care means to you. And once you've figured it out and you've said it without using any of our words, but your own words, and once you start to believe it, then that's when I know you're on the pulse.
Actually, it's in the believing it.
Yes.
You're right.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
'Cause you
Last
can
parting
say it all
shots?
the way-
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I may as well end. You can say it every single day, and if you don't truly believe it, then it will never fully translate. And also just be content in the fact that you were specifically made and designed for you. Your makeup, your genetic makeup, your social character, everything is specific to you. And the moment you start putting it up against anybody else, whether it's your sister or your mother or your social media peeps, that's when you start to try and change what God has created. And it's wrong. Plain and simple. But you have to also, it's like a muscle. Keep telling yourself the same thing until you do believe it. Because when you do believe it, you won't have to keep reminding yourself of it. It'll just become a lifestyle.
Nolo?
Maybe just be kind to yourself.
And to others.
Because you don't know what they're dealing with.
Mm.
You don't know what their body issues are.
Mm.
You don't know what they're trying to find. Thank you. It's been a very, very interesting conversation. Viya Health, Z8, this is on all social media platforms. These conversations are being had. These conversations are being encouraged to be had. Even on the comment section right here. You can go on and comment and share your stories. It is a safe place. It's always been a safe place. The ladies do, participate in the conversations, in the comment sections. They really do. Lindy, thank you so much. It's been incredible. Thank you for coming all that way, week on week, to come and have a conversation with us. And of course, Viya Health, once again, thank you for being part of the podcast. Red Cherry Studios, it's always such a pleasure. It's been on the table. My name is Tepi.
I'm DJ Black Velvet.
Church girl.
And Lindy R.
It's been on the table. Goodbye.